Together, we can make the next decade one of bold progress and shared prosperity for women and girls worldwide.
So over the week, President John Dramani Mahama on and hoka for a Madame Lordina Mahama could PM with China. Nina and some having meeting. Be a matter this a global leaders meeting on women. There's almost share ama man so it's a higher position a mema etumi enyanubi. Impo JDM eka say ebetumi abase Ghana ha oba betimi abedi president. Nina say a man so almost some potential energy be a betimi aboa ama economy and as a country no etimi akoso. Let's say JDM kasa no most Ghanaians na I refer to say JDM purchase Professor Jena na Opoku Agyeman. Let's say JDM if you are or no nso betimi abedi president no ebi yenhwe JDM ni speech a odoko to go I was adwumade na natural wadwen efa video yi.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency President Xi Jinping of the People's Republic of China, Madam Ping, my colleague, presidents and heads of state, excellencies. I wish to extend to you warm greetings from the government and people of Ghana as we gather here for this important global leaders meeting on gender equality and women's empowerment. This meeting presents an invaluable opportunity for us to reaffirm our shared commitment to advancing the rights of women and girls worldwide and to assess the progress that we have made under the Beijing Declaration and the Platform for Action. 30 years on, the promise of Beijing still endures, but it calls for a renewed urgency and purpose. The Beijing Declaration was never just a statement of intent. It was a moral covenant. It was a recognition that no nation can truly progress if half of its population is left behind. And yet, as we review its implementation, persistent gaps and structural barriers continue to slow our collective march towards equality. We must therefore act with even greater resolve and innovation. Mr. President, my country Ghana remains steadfast in its pursuit of gender equality and the empowerment of our women. Under my leadership and in my capacity as the African Union champion for gender and women's empowerment, the government of Ghana has continued to take decisive steps to mainstream gender across our national development policies. We've achieved historic milestones, including the election of Ghana's first female vice president and the unprecedented appointment of women to leadership positions in government, the judiciary, the security services, and key national institutions. These are not just symbolic gestures. They are deliberate affirmation that women deserve a seat at the table of the highest levels of decision-making. And I am confident that in the very near future, our women will break the glass ceiling and there will be a woman president of the Republic of Ghana. Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, we've achieved gender parity in school enrollment. Girls are going to school and staying in school. Our commitment is further demonstrated by the robust institutional reforms and legal frameworks that are designed to protect the rights of our women and girls. We've strengthened critical agencies, including the Ministry of Gender, Children, and Social Protection, the Domestic Violence and Victim Support Unit of the Ghana Police Service, the Domestic Violence Secretariat, and the Specialized Domestic Violence Courts. Sustained budgetary allocations have improved their capacity to deliver justice, protection, and social support to survivors of gender-based violence. We've also expanded many social intervention programs that directly benefit women and girls. And among these are the Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty program. And as part of this policy, we target female-headed households. The Ghana School Feeding Program, which sources food locally and improves nutrition and school retention, especially for girls. A policy that reserves 50% of microfinance and small-scale loans funding for women entrepreneurs. Nationwide distribution of sanitary pads for school girls to address their menstrual health and also prevent absenteeism from school. Free tertiary education for persons with disability, especially women, and the no academic fee stress policy for first-year tertiary students. The Ghana Medical Care Trust Fund, which is soon to start, will also ensure equitable access to treatment for non-communicable diseases, especially amongst vulnerable groups. Mr. President, these interventions are anchored in a strong legal and policy framework, and we have enacted and revised a suite of key instruments, including 1, the revised National Gender Policy, 2, the Ghana National Social Protection Act, 3, the Domestic Violence Act, 4, the Human Trafficking Act, and 5, Justice for Children Policy. And also recently, Ghana's Affirmative Action Act mandates a minimum of 30% female representation in public appointments by the end of 2026, 35% by the end of 2028, and increasing to 50% of public appointments for women by the year 2030. To further empower women economically, Ghana is establishing a Women's Development Bank to provide low-interest loans, financial literacy, training, and business development support to our women entrepreneurs. This initiative is designed to advance financial inclusion and expand opportunities for women across all sectors of our economy. Mr. President, the global order is changing rapidly, and it threatens to reverse the gains made by the Millennium Development Goals and the ongoing Sustainable Development Goals. The global multilateral order and our rules-based trading systems are being jettisoned and are giving way to more unilateral actions by some global players. In this unpredictable environment, we need to focus on safeguarding the gains made by our women and other vulnerable groups since the Beijing conference 30 years ago. The African woman is particularly vulnerable, and I wish to use this platform to call on my colleague African leaders to focus on the welfare and empowerment of African women. Mr. President, gender equality is not just a matter of justice. It is a driver of sustainable development. When women thrive, families prosper, communities are stronger, and nations progress. Our experience in Ghana confirms that investing in women yields measurable dividends in terms of productivity, innovation, and social cohesion. And so as we look to Beijing plus 30, I call on all governments and partners to move beyond platitudes and commit towards transformative action. Let us ensure that this milestone becomes a turning point, one that accelerates the realization of gender equality and women's empowerment all over the world. Together we can make the next decade one of bold progress and shared prosperity for women and girls worldwide. I appreciate your kind attention.